Are you ready? Let's do it. So let's do this picture. Open new tab. Let me just open. So this is the trumpet that we're gonna CAD right now. So how are we gonna do this? So let's go here to new part. And now it's gonna delete opens for a second. And we'll do a sketch on one plane. And we'll start just by drawing a line that will go like that. And let me give it a dimension D. And the units don't matter as much, but say 2 inches. So this is gonna be a extremely small trumpet. And then I'm gonna draw a line that goes like that. I'm gonna make that a construction geometry. And this right here, that's gonna represent like the part, like the bed, right? The part that goes around. So maybe this could be 0.7. Doesn't matter because we'll be, if we do this properly, that means that we might be able to modify all of these dimensions afterwards. But I'm gonna leave this like that in here.
I'll email you.
Yes.
Oh, thank you very much.
No, thank you for coming. And then let me just look at this for a second. Yes. So suppose that we are drawing like, say, this part in here, then it will angle downwards for a second. So actually, maybe, wait, let me make that a construction geometry, just like that. I will click on finish for a second. So I'm gonna leave this like that. Then I'm gonna do another sketch here on that plane, right there. And there we go. I'm gonna go like that. And what I'm gonna draw is a line that goes from that point, which is where that line was starting from, and I will make it go diagonally down like this. So I will go here to project geometry. We'll project that original line that we had from before. And then I will draw another construction line that will go like that. I will make that line and that line be perpendicular. There we go. And then you see that's black because we haven't fully defined it. So maybe I'll give that, let's say 0.1. Let's see, what would that angle? I mean, that's reasonable. Okay. And then I'm gonna draw another line that's gonna go like that. And I'll make these two perpendicular. Good. Why am I doing this? This looks very, it's like dark magic. However, I'll click on finish. In fact, I should have done that. I should have made this a, let me just go back here, edit. Let me make this a construction line as well. There we go. But now we go to our friend plane. Plane, point normal, and I'm gonna create a plane on that point and that line. So now we have an angled plane. Why? Well, let's do a sketch on this plane, and we are gonna directly project that line, which means, that line was already angled, so it projects immediately there. And what we can do is go here to arch, okay, bring these 2 points just like that, and maybe I should go here to tools, measure. What is that length? Oh, 707, like the airplane. Okay. I'm gonna go here to D, and I'll make that 0.707 over 2. Oh, actually, maybe that's not possible. So let's do 0.708 over 2. There we go. So roughly in there. So we're starting, you see how this is starting to like bend a little bit. And now what we could do is, actually, that would represent the bottom part of the trumpet. But now that I'm looking at this, this would be more properly done like that. And then we can now go here to sketch line. And I will make this line go up to here. So for example, 1.2. So far so good, right? Like what I'm showing you in here. In other words, what this sketch represents in here is that at that point, that's where it's gonna, like you will have the bell of the trumpet coming out. So I'll just click here in finish. I'm gonna go back to my original sketch like that. I'm coming to realize that if that's like the part of the bell, then I'm gonna draw another line in here. Let's make that 0.7 as well. Construction geometry. Let's do an arch out of that like that. And I will draw a straight line that goes actually like this. Is it like now more visually clear? I think the hardest part of doing this trumpet is really like realizing that you need two planes. One that is like the base one, and then you did like a little angle on that point. You inclined it for a little bit, and that's how you will have that line. So technically, if we've done everything properly, then what we would be able to do is the following thing. Now we go to the YZ plane, which is, it starts right there. We do another sketch, and we go here to circle. There we go. Actually, I could go here to project geometry. I'll just bring that point. That way we can select it, and I draw a circle that goes like that. So then dimension that to 0.1. Maybe that's a little bit too much, but we'll see in a second, right? Because the problem is that you see how it's 0.1, and then it might not be sufficient clearance for that place. So maybe we could make it 0.08. Okay, good. Moment of truth. We go here to 3D model and sweep. So select our profile. So now let's do the curves. There we go. So let's add that, and let's add that. Again, it looks decent in there. Now, what I'm afraid, and this is something that it's super easy to modify, is that we might need to increase that 0.1 in there to make it a little bit wider. Because when we start working on the bell, we have to avoid any interference. So we can do that by going back to Sketch 2, Edit, and let's make that be instead 0.2. Now what's gonna happen is that, yes, why is that error? Because we're gonna go here to Sketch, what you gonna use? Sketch 3, Edit, and that this is wrong, that circle. In fact, let me delete, there we go. I'm just gonna leave it like that. Because I had constrained it, right? But it changed a little bit like the size of that line. Oh, so this looks a little bit better. In a little bit, I will work on adding a few more things, but let me show you the very last step. So I'm gonna create a few planes. I'm gonna go here to plane, this one that's called offset from plane. So one that's gonna be offset by, let's say, 0.5. Let's see, where would that go? Okay, so it creates a plane that is right there, good. Now let's create another plane, offset from plane, but now from this one, that's gonna be maybe 0.7, like that. So let's look at the belling here. So it's like, oh, it's not too much. Then there's like, this would be that area, and then we can do one, do another plane, offset from plane, that's gonna go right here by 0.2. By the way, if you guys did like CFD or like that sort of stuff, you could potentially optimize like the design of the bell. This is just a visual recreation. But now we do start sketch on this face. By the way, when we do the banana, it's a very similar technique of creating multiple planes and creating the frame. But we know that that's 0.8, which means I'm gonna make a circle in here that's gonna be, let's start by making this 0.2. And okay, it seems to be fully constrained to that position, so we'll say finish. Now let's do another sketch in here. And let's make this one more. Let's make that 0.5. Okay, so it's starting to, okay, if we look at it in there is potential for some interference. I might make that 0.3 instead. Okay, that looks decent in there. And now let's go to finish. Let's do one more sketch in here. And let's make this one much bigger. Let's make that, what do you guys want? Let's see, 0.8. Reasonable size. We can always, actually, let's do 0.7. There we go. I think that's optimal. Okay, so now finish. We go here to this command that's called loft. Loft will prompt us to select all of these profiles that we just designed. So now we can go here to face, 2, 3, 4. Now, what's going on in here? It looks kind of ugly, doesn't it? in there. So how do we modify this stuff? Well, it's not difficult at all. What we have to do is we have to create a new sketch on, let's see what's a convenient. So I have to create a new plane. I'll go here to face in there, and I'll create a line that goes like this, from that point all the way there. I'll make that a construction. I go here to finish. Then we go to this point that's called normal to curve. I go to that point and that line. So it's really a plane that chops that in half. So why are we doing this? Because now we'll do sketching here. And what we'll do is we'll use our friend the project to project that line, that line, that line, and that line. So that means that we have a bunch of lines, and I'm going to select all of these lines and make them construction. That way they're invisible. And we'll use our friend the spline tool. So we're here to spline, and then we select that point, that point, that point, and where are we? Oh, yes, I skipped. This problem of selecting the points is when we do the banana, it's one. I always mess it up because it's more splines that we tend to draw. We'll do that one, we'll do that, and we'll do that. And we click on OK. So you see how there's potential to improve this design a little bit more. In fact, I might change some of that, but let's try this for now. And let's do another spline. So let me add this one in here. Is that, yes. And there. By the way, because this spline is fully defined by those lines in there, if I change the diameter of that circle as an example, everything else should modify accordingly. In fact, let's go here, do sketch 5, edit, and we can make that a 0.1, a 0.12 as an example. And everything adjusts nicely from there. In fact, another thing that we could have done is if we go here to that sketch, we go to edit, we can do project geometry of these two lines. And let me just make these two just construction. Did they become construction? There we go. I want that to be construction. Oh. Excellent. Why? But now I click on that line and on that line, and we're going to make that tangent. Oh, it doesn't work. It doesn't. Okay, I can figure out that one later. But now let's try again the loft. So let's select this face, that face, that, and that. It looks ugly like last time. However, we can add rails. So let's add that and let's add that. And it looks much prettier. Okay. Ta-da! Wow. So go to this one, but not fairly difficult to do. Last step, before you guys, I let you go to try it by yourselves, is this command that's called, there's so much stuff in the screen that it's difficult to find, but it is one called shell. What does shell do? Well, let me click on this face, and it essentially creates a shell of this object of thickness 0.1. Obviously, thickness 0.1 is too much for that tube. So what if I said instead 0.02? Let me look at it from. Oh, but it doesn't. I might need to. Then I can extrude it from that side as well. But
if you select that face as well and made.
let's try that. Yeah. Let's do here shell. Oh, when the student is better than the teacher.
Course does that, so.
Yeah, let's do the shell even smaller. I think that's like pretty thick. Okay,
You
that's
gotta
good.
check the other side now.
Oh,
There's a way to
Can
open
you
it.
not select two spaces on this?
let's
No.
Yes.
Can?
Yes. I think so. Let's see what this does. Let's click on OK. Yeah. I mean, this looks legit.
Yeah, it looks good.
Good. So this, we're not done, but this is the step that we can start trying out right now, because then if you want to go, one last thing, let me just do something, this is more like Andy being particularly fancy, but you guys don't have to do this. If I do I'm gonna do a little line from, actually no, this is not the sketch I wanna work from. I wanna work from, let me delete. I wanna work from this sketch. And I want to project geometry that line. And then you see how I'm selecting the circumference, but it becomes a line. I'll make that a construction. Let me do a little, actually I could do it here, a little circle. That will go like that. What is this? Like, you know, when you look at the trumpet, it has like that bulb in there. Let's try to do something similar too. It's just that if I do it this way, it will create a little bit of, I'm not sure that's like the thickness that I want. So maybe I will create the circle like here. Let me make these two tangent to each other. Oh, let me, maybe, I'm just trying to figure out what's, no, you know what? I create it like that and then I'll just make an extrusion in the end. So let's make that 0.05. Would that be good? No, that's too much. 0.0. Okay. 3D model, revolve. That, and for select axis,
Do you want to select the center of the chunk?
yes, but I think I have to draw a line that will be like that. Let me just make that a construction line. Let's see whether this works. Revolve, let's do that, and select axis, let's do that. Oh, okay. So, yeah, so what I would do really for that not to be noticeable there, I would just do a sketch like here. And I would draw like a circle that goes from, well, I could project that. And then we could, I don't know, do a circle that goes, do an offset of this all the way there. We could, we define that to be 0.05. I think that might be too much in my opinion. So I'm wondering why this circle, oh, I think the trumpet is not, might not be perfectly circular it doesn't matter. I'll just delete the stuff, do another. I'll do it up to there, but then you could potentially extrude that to go, I don't know, by 0.02. That is, it completes that face in there. That's it. And then we can just hide. That way you don't have to see them. And hide. Hide. So we'll stop here. Questions up to this point. So it's not as trivial, right? In the end, to do this. So let's rewind for a minute, just that way it's clear. We started by doing this sketch. We just drew the profile, and then the key was to begin here in the origin. Then we clicked on finish, then we did another sketch. That went from the origin, and it just created an angle. Because then, by having this at an angle, then I drew a line that is perpendicular to that one. Why? Because we created a plane right there, a point normal plane that was angled like that. And then the remaining sketch that you can see in here was created on that angled plane. And then we created a profile, we swept it, then we created a bunch of circles, and then it was extruded like that. In fact, this part, I will probably do a connection. I want to connect it with a little pipe. So I'll connect it from here and I'll connect it from there. So that way that it's like a abrupt change of curvature. I don't like it, but it's not gonna be noticeable. All right, let's try it out. Like what we're gonna do now, these are more like the final touches, right? You've gotten to this shape, which is already a pretty good thing, but now you wanna make this more realistically looking. Do you wanna come? here?
Yeah.
No, that way, like, we can look at it together. So the first thing that we're gonna look when you do this is that there's a connection there, there's another connection there, and then there's like those little two guys, right? But technically, you'd be able to remove this particular portion of the trumpet. So how would you do this? Well, we would do it like this. So I'm gonna maybe look at this sketch and I'm gonna show the visibility. And we'll go here to plane. And we'll choose, let's see, what I could, oh, does it even, let me, it doesn't matter. I can just go here to plane, offset from plane. And let me go here to origin. We're gonna choose that one and I'll say 2. So I want to have a plane that is right there. I'll say, okay. And then that we know it's like 1.2. So I'll create yet another plane that offset from plane, YZ, let's do 1.2. That way it's at that area right there. And say, okay, good. So in this portion right there, we'll go here to the sketch. I'm gonna click in here. And what we can do is go here to project geometry. We can select that circle. We can select that circle. And we can do a quick offset of this stuff. And another offset in there. And we can say that we want, oh,
What's the button you're using for offset?
oh, this one
Okay.
right there. And then no worries. We'll make this 0.015. And then we can chamfer it and make it look a little bit nicer. The same thing in here. 0.015. And we can extrude. Obviously, it's going in the wrong direction. But we can say, all right, I want to do extrude like that and do it for 0.3. So what are we realizing from doing this is that there is actually too thick of a space in there. If you look at how that's supposed to look, so we can change that in a second. So maybe I'll say 0.4. I'll go to OK. And now let's edit sketch 13. Let's make that actually 0.05. Oh no, that I meant 0.005. And there we go. 0.005. We'll go here to finish. Looks a little bit nicer. And then, well, I'll leave it like this because I might change. I might do a couple of details while you guys work on this. But let me do this portion right there, which is the more non-trivial part. To the sketch, I go there, and we're gonna do the same thing. Project geometry, that, and that. And we'll go here to offset, just like that. And here we can afford to be a little bit more, so we can say 0.01 and 0.01. And we will extrude that and that by 0.1. Let's see how much would that be. Maybe a little less. 0.07. Good. Reasonable. And now what we'll do is the following thing. So if that is 0.07, then I'm gonna create another plane that is gonna go like this. I'm gonna select this face and I'm gonna select that face. So it's a plane that chops that in half. And why are we doing this? Because now we'll do a sketch on that plane, that one that chops it in half. And I can say project geometry, those two circles. And now what we could do is a connector line that goes from that point all the way to that point, like that. We'll leave it like that, and then we'll just draw like a rectangle of sorts in here. I could also change the visibility of this part, which would make certain things a lot easier. And I'll make that a rectangle. Obviously, that looks very weird. So there we go. Make this all perpendicular. So now you have, there we go, a rectangle that goes like that, but I'm gonna bring it significantly down like that. Let's make the height of this thing be 0.02. Why are we doing this? We go here to revolve, which you are here. We select that, and for the axis, we select this. We go to OK. And now let me hide all of those. Maybe plain 6, I'll use it later, but let me hide this. And here to our friend, where are you? Let's chamfer it. Just like that. Let's give it 0.01. Okay. Very easy. Now, what can we do? A rectangular pattern. We don't have to replicate the same work. And we're gonna have that go all the way there too. So rectangular pattern, select features, we'll select extrusion free, revolution and chamfer 1, then select direction, could be that. And actually 1 inch is pretty decent, maybe let's say 1.1. Let's see, that work. Did it even, hold on, let me just, didn't even move. Oh, because it's like, it's on the bottom one. So I have to change it from here. There we go. Here, there we go, okay. Good. Are we ready for the very last step from this video? We have that part to kind of simulate where you would remove it. We can beautify that in a second. Then we have this part in here, which is the connector. So what are we missing? Right? I don't know if you guys, if your career never takes off, you can always work for Yamaha designing instruments. It doesn't matter. So let's do the mouthpiece. So we are gonna select what was our plane XY in here, and the mouthpiece is actually perhaps like the easiest part because I'm gonna project geometry that. I will make that a construction. Actually, how would you do the mouthpiece?
Revolve.
A revolve. No, nothing too fancy. In fact, so we can just look at that and make something that looks vaguely like that. So I can say, all right, go all the way. Maybe this is like to define more or less like the overall length of the mouthpiece. So I want to make it 0.5, and we will shell it afterwards. And I'm gonna make that go like that, like that. You will see why I'm doing these lines in a moment. This is just for me as a reference. I can have that like that. Draw that. Bring that like that. Okay. And I make that a construction. Oh, construction. There we go. And I'm gonna make these two construction as well. And I make that and that. This is where you can be creative, right? It doesn't need to. There's no particular requirement. We'll make two little circles that go like that. Two little circles go like that. We can make this distance be 0.1. I think that's reasonable. Actually, now that I'm realizing it, I might make this a construction geometry, and I'll make this go like that. I will change dimensions probably later, but it's okay. You guys get the idea, but 0.95. And I'm gonna connect this like that. And that we're gonna make a construction. Oh, just like there we go. Good. And we're gonna bring a line that goes all the way like that. That's gonna be our axis. I'm gonna leave that like that. There we go. Boom. Actually, I will shell it. So I'll just leave this like that. Okay. I think the sketch should be closed. So this might work. Now we go here to 3D model, revolve, axis, It's gonna be that. Very weird looking mouthpiece. That's why I just wanted to, it's an illustrative mouthpiece, but I'll change it. And you got a big mouth, right? And like I guess for that it could be, that's a big mouthpiece. I'll have to change it.
This trumpet is like 2 inches long, so maybe it's just.
Yes, it's a baby trumpet. And then let's see whether, where is it again? Oh my god. Shell. Now, the problem about this is that I might need to edit this because I have no way of looking at the other side and shelling like the other part too. So I'll probably edit it and I'll just hollow it out from there, but you guys can try these two little there. So let's take until 4:25 for you guys to finish the
I
track.
have a question.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let me. All right, I'm gonna change the mouthpiece in here. So we're gonna make a banana. Now, the key here is that I have to look it up again. Let's start by actually looking at a picture of a banana. And the one I was looking at this one before, I'm gonna open image in new tab. And how do you guys like eating your bananas? Do you like the like plain? Do you eat it with ice cream?
Ice cream.
Yeah, like people eat bananas with ice cream.
Banana bread.
Banana bread. Actually, I do like banana bread. So let me just save this picture. So let's call this banana. Now, the key strategy of what we're gonna do here, it's somewhat related to the bell of the trumpet. So let's say I give you this object. How would you count it?
Like make a lot of circles.
Yes. Now, non-trivial question, which is, how many sides does a banana have? Yes,
5 or 6.
5. Did you guys know that before? I didn't. Like, I'm not kidding. I also don't eat bananas, so it wouldn't have a reason.
Look at cross section.
It's almost like a pentagon. By the way, if you guys see the asynchronous video, I always confuse pentagons with hexagons. I don't know. I like hexagons better, I guess. But let's make a banana, which is gonna be like this. We're gonna do a bunch of cuts all throughout this thing. We're gonna create, for that reason, a lot of planes, and let's do a bunch of hexagons. Now, in the asynchronous video, what I do with the hexagons is that I make them a little bit rounded. That way it looks a little more organic. Today, this is the low fidelity version. It will be just flat, but it's still good enough. So let's do it. So I'm gonna go here to Inventor, File, New. Let's go here to Part. There we go. And sketch. And I only will bring the picture that we just took because I want to know roughly. We can bring, it doesn't matter where I'll just bring it there. This is a completely free form, but I just want to know roughly how to trace the banana around. In fact, so we have this picture right here. We go here to line, then we go to spline, and I make a point in there. I make a point in there. I make another point in there. Another one here. Another one here, and another one there. And we keep on. Okay. So these points 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Those will be where I'm going to create planes. How? Well, I'm going to click on finish. And you have our line running there. Also, by the way, you will see that here that point is slightly inclined. I might change the angling of the spline in a second. Go to our usual normal to curve. This is like perhaps the best way to create planes. So go to that point and that line. Point and line. Actually, it just left. Let's create it again. Point and line. Then point and line. So we are chopping the banana quite literally. Then point and line. Then point and line. And one more. Now you see how it follows exactly the curvature of the spline. So we went to sketch one again. We go to this spline. We could look at those guys right there. Oh my goodness. There we go. I'm gonna. Oh, sometimes, I could hide the picture for a second. I'm gonna. Let me change. There we go. Oh, I cannot see a single thing. There we go. Excellent. Like that. So now it changes a little bit the curvature of how that plane is gonna come. So let me show that plane again. The picture again. So what are we gonna do? I'll do it quickly. That way you guys can see it. So I'm gonna click on this face. And we will go to, we haven't used it yet, but you can create polygons. And we're gonna create a hexagon. There we go. And I click on this point. Let's say done. Oh, it didn't work. I click on that point and I go like that. Boom. Finish. Now another sketch on that plane. And we click on this point. Oh my goodness. I may need to project geometry. There we go. Polygons. And I'm gonna, so I just use the picture to bring it roughly to the edge of the banana in there. And I click on finish. Then another sketch on that plane right there. To be honest, the placement of the polygons doesn't really matter because this line, I won't use it again. It was just for the planes. And you will see why in just a moment. And we're gonna use 3D sketches in a second. So this is the tedious part. Again, the more time that you spend creating your pentagons, I was about to say hexagon, the better it's gonna look. We do this. I used to take a class back in the day, all manufacturing related, that to make it into the class, like an admission criteria was to design a fruit. And people would do apples. Like designing apples is actually much simpler. We just do like a wedge, you replicate by 4. You can make it organic. I think banana is a little bit more interesting. And we're gonna leave it there. Okay, good. Finish. Now this line and the banana, so I'm gonna click there. I'm gonna change the visibility. And all of these planes, I don't need them anymore. Good. So I'm stuck with a bunch of hexagons. Now, what could we do? We could loft it right away. But we want to have perhaps a little more control over that. So we do splines. 3D sketch right there. So what is a 3D sketch? It's just that it's not constrained to be in a single plane. That's what a 3D sketch means. So you click there, you can toggle between the two, 3D sketch, spline, and I'm gonna connect all of these points. Now you have to have, the reason why I like CAD is because you get this spatial awareness, right? Because now I have to select all of the points that correspond to the same point in every pentagon. It's not trivial to do that. I'm gonna do, see, I have to go around a little bit. It's difficult to see sometimes. Do it like that. Make sure that you're always connecting that. And a way to notice is that it turns blue in my case, which means these splines are fully defined by those pentagons. Let's click on that point. It will get difficult towards the last 2 splines, I think. There we go. And there. Good. Now let's add 2 more splines. So we have to do it for all 5 points. 1, 2, 3. Have you guys played those video games like is it called GTA? Like Grand Theft Auto? Like sometimes they have objects, like 3D objects like this that they're so low fidelity, right? That they're like just fun to see. No, probably no. The new ones are probably incredible, like the level of detail. pretty realistic, but I bet in GTA 2 on the PS2, for example, bananas may have looked like this. So that's the level of CAD that we're dealing with, 2005, kind of 3D modeling. And we're gonna leave it like that. Okay, good, finish.
That's really good.
So you see, like what I was saying, this is a wire frame. Copper wires, and you've drawn it in here. But let's do some magic with this. So we go here to loft, sections. So we do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And it really looks pretty decent, actually, like the overall shape. But we can make it better. So I'm gonna select all of these splines. Is it all of them? Yes. Ta-da! Now you could take it an extra mile and do like the stem as an example. But how could you do the stem? Let me show you very, very quickly. So let's do another plane that's gonna be offset from plane this side, right? Let's say, wait, where did it go? From plane. Let's see 0.5, where would, no, that's too little. Let's do 2. Okay, good. I'm gonna do a sketch. Start the sketch in here. And we could actually, I'm gonna project geometry. That guy there. And we could, let's see whether I could offset this a little bit like that, right? That way it's like slightly smaller. And I'm gonna select all of those lines and I'll make them construction. Good. Nothing too fancy. Then let me see whether we have a plane that chops this in half. That one, okay. So we'll do a sketch in here. And let's see whether I can project geometry that point and that point and those two lines. So you see how that line becomes just a point. So we do a little arch that will go like that. You could also do it as a spline, right? But I'll do it as an arch because I think it's just easier. Finish. What do we do? Another loft. So I'll click on that face. I'll click on that. That's ugly. So let's add those rails. So we can add that guy and that guy. And if you wanted, obviously, more degrees of control, you could angle it from the other sides too. But this is for our 2005 banana, this is good enough. And I will hide that plane. Questions? All right, so with the remainder of the time, you can try this out. I think it's cool because this technique, what else can you do? The exact same stuff. You can make an airplane fuselage. You just do sections of that. In fact, the most common way of doing it in YouTube that I've seen, I've tried it, it's very difficult, but it's to do like a lot of sections. You can do what I proposed that we did today, but I think better we just worked on our own stuff. The compressor as well. This is how you do like the blades as well. You do different profiles. Then how you do an airfoil. It's all the same thing, a bicycle seat, a saddle.
Roller coaster.
Roller coaster could be, like, it depends which part of it.
Yes.
Maybe that one I would do a sweep instead. But pretty much it's a lot of different things that have like different variable balls. If you have those, I was gonna, one of the activities I thought was the cutting the hat. You know, it's like a weird shape. You would also do it with loft. All right, give it a shot. And I'll walk around. I think I'll stop the video here.